Hey friends, welcome back to another children's sermon. My name is Becca. For those of you who are new here, welcome. And for those of you who are coming back, it is good to be with you again. Okay, today is a special day and my shirt color is a hint. Anybody guess? Yeah, our season changes today, but before we get to that, join me in a few stretches. We're gonna climb a mountain today, so I really think we should stretch. Don't want to pull any muscles. Today our story is about Jesus climbing a mountain. So our season changes and Jesus is climbing a mountain. Any guess about what today is? Okay, it's a big word. Are you ready? Transfiguration. It's a long word and it starts with a T. Transfiguration. And the word transfiguration means that it's changing, it's becoming more beautiful. So what do you think this story could be about if we're climbing a mountain, the season of transfiguration is white, and something beautiful is going to happen? I can't wait to read our story. But transfiguration is only one Sunday, which means that next Sunday is going to be a different season. Any guesses as to what the next season will be? I'll give you a hint. The word only has 4 letters in it. And the color is my favorite color. Did you guess Lent? If you did, you would be right. And I'm not talking about the belly button kind of Lent. I'm talking about the season of Lent. L-E-N-T. And did you guess purple for the color? Because that is the color for Lent. Purple is the color of Lent. That is right. So today, before the change of the season, we talk about Jesus changes. Jesus changes on this mountain. Jesus changes us, right? So we're going to talk about that in our story today. Our story is from Luke. Do you remember where Luke is in the Bible? That's right. It is in the New Testament and it is a gospel. And Luke tells a story about a time that Jesus and 3 of his disciples go up to a mountain and they think they're going to pray, and then they get to the top and the mountain will change them forever. So I want you to lie on the floor. Are you laying down? I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine being on the top of a mountain. Are you imagining it? What's it like up there? What do you see? What do you feel? When Jesus was praying on top of the mountain, he became a dazzling color of white. His clothes were white and glittery, and 2 other people appeared with him. Then a cloud covered them, and God spoke, and a voice matched the voice of Jesus' baptism. So now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to stand up. Don't forget to stretch because we're getting ready to climb a mountain. And while I read the story, you're going to act out the story. Are you ready? Okay, so our reading comes from Luke chapter 9, verses 28 through 36. Are you ready? Jesus and 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John, hiked up a mountain to pray. As they prayed, Jesus changed. His face and his clothes became dazzling and glowing. "What's happening?" whispered James. Peter squinted. "I can't look. It's too bright." "You have to look," John insisted. "Moses and Elijah just appeared." Moses and Elijah were 2 prophets from long ago. They talked with Jesus about things that would happen soon. Peter, James, and John were tired from their hike, but they couldn't look away. They knew a visit from Moses and Elijah was important. Otto says, first rule of being a disciple, follow Jesus. You never know who you might meet. Peter shouted, "Jesus! It's good to be here. Let's stay. We will build houses for you and Moses and Elijah." James and John nodded. Suddenly, a cloud covered the mountain, and everything went quiet. Then a voice came from the cloud. "This is my son. Listen to him." The disciples' mouths dropped open. They heard God's voice. The cloud faded away. Moses and Elijah were nowhere to be seen. Jesus looked like himself again. Jesus started walking down the mountain. Slowly, the disciples followed. "I don't want to leave this mountain," James sighed. "I want to talk with Moses and Elijah." "I want to stay," John agreed, "and hear God's voice again." "Something amazing happened here," Peter said. "Something we will never forget." Ava said, "I've been surprised by things I've seen on hikes, but nothing as cool as that." Otto said, "Best hike ever." I love this story. I love that the three disciples got to see Jesus do an incredible thing, and they got to see Moses and Elijah, something that nobody's ever seen before. And they thought it was so cool that they never wanted to leave. Can you think about a place that you've gone that you never want to leave? Maybe it's your favorite restaurant, or your favorite park, or your favorite slide, or your favorite spot on the couch, or maybe snuggled in bed with your parents, or your grandma. I would never want to leave my grandma's house. Yeah, those kinds of places can be really, really hard to leave because you love it so much. Or maybe you experience something you never want to forget, like the disciples. But the disciples will never forget this amazing thing. Never, ever, ever. Did you act out the story? What was the hardest part? I bet climbing the mountain got really exhausting. Or being so surprised and shocked, were your eyes really big? Or did you open your mouth really big like the disciples did? Yeah, they were so surprised. Could you imagine getting to the top of a mountain and then something you've never seen before, just so bright and blinding? I was kind of worried the story would be so bright that I would need my sunglasses, but I didn't. But this story was so bright that James and John could have used sunglasses to see. They probably could have saw more of the story better that way. So, for the next minute, I want you to turn to somebody in your house, or maybe a neighbor, and I want you guys to share about a time that you'll never forget. So maybe it's the game-winning shot, or a dance recital, or a rainbow, or a gorgeous flower, or a hug from a friend when you were feeling sad, an incredible piece of music, anything that was something you'll never forget. Something that I will never forget is when I went to play volleyball with my friends, and we had so much fun. We played out in the sand, and I got to spike the ball, which you hit really hard, and it went over the net, and I was so proud of myself because that was the first time I'd ever done that. And I'll never forget feeling that proud of what my strong body did. Do you have a story like that? I'd love to hear it if you wanted to share it. Yeah, something we'll never forget, an experience we'll never forget. Like the disciples will never forget seeing Jesus with Moses and Elijah, which tells us that Jesus is not like any human, right? We can't do that, but Jesus could. And then the other incredible thing that happened was the voice. Do you remember what the voice said? "This is my son, listen to him." Where have we heard that before? When Jesus was baptized, that's right. Remember, the voice in the cloud said, "This is my beloved with whom I am well pleased. This is my son with whom I'm well pleased." That's right. So this story tells us that Jesus is way more cool than any other human because Jesus and God are together. That's right. God lives in Jesus. And so we get to see that in this story. And so like the disciples where they're surprised and shocked and not sure what to say and not sure they can look, that's kind of how we feel when we talk about Jesus and God together. Is sometimes we're surprised. Sometimes we don't have the right words to say. But like what Jesus did with the disciples, he shared this and God's love with those disciples. And so that's what we have to do. We have to take this cool story, this thing that we'll never forget, and we have to share it with other people so that they never forget. It's a story that lives on forever. And like wanting to never forget it, that is why we want to share the story. So we never forget it. So today is Transfiguration. And so Jesus was transfigured. He was made beautiful and seen and sparkly and glowed. That's right. And so that is what they never forget. That's what we never forget. So we want to talk about this beautiful transfiguration of Jesus. What makes Jesus special? What makes Jesus unlike us? And it's God's love, right? And so we can share God's love too. All right, friends, that's our amazing story for this week. It comes from Luke chapter 9, verses 28 through 36. You can read that in any Bible you want. Till next time, friends. See ya.